The great alien city was full of light, sound, and movement. Tall crystal towers shone under two suns and flying ships passed slowly in the sky. Today was not a normal day. Today was the day a human diplomat had come to speak of peace. Thousands of alien citizens gathered in the main plaza to see him. Some were curious, some were nervous, and some were even angry. For many of them, this was the first time they had ever seen a human with their own eyes. The human diplomat walked forward with calm steps. He wore a dark suit that seemed strange in this world of bright colors. His face showed no fear, but inside his heart was heavy. He carried the hopes of his people. If this meeting failed, there might never be peace between humans and this alien race. Soldiers, officials, and leaders watched every move carefully. As the diplomat greeted the alien leaders, something small happened. Something so small that no one noticed at first. From his jacket pocket, a wallet slipped out and fell. It landed on the smooth stone ground with a soft sound, then slid away, almost invisible under the crowd's many feet. The diplomat did not feel it fall. He was too focused on the serious words he had to say. He did not know that inside that wallet was more than just money. It held his identification card, family photographs, and a small device used for the secret codes of the peace talks. If it was lost, everything could change. The wallet lay on the ground, half hidden in the dust, while thousands of alien eyes were fixed on the human. The crowd was loud, voices mixing in a storm of questions and whispers. Some aliens shouted, asking if peace could ever be real. Others cheered at the sight of something new. The diplomat stood tall, but he did not see the wallet that had slipped from his pocket. Then, from the far side of the plaza, a pair of eyes noticed it. They were not the eyes of a soldier or a leader. They were the bright, curious eyes of a young alien girl. She was small, thin, and not dressed in fine clothes. She was just one face among many in the great crowd. But she saw what no one else saw. Her head tilted as she watched the wallet slide closer to her feet. She bent down and picked it up carefully. Her 3 fingers touched the leather surface, strange and unfamiliar. She had never held anything made by humans before. Around her, other aliens noticed and began whispering. Some laughed, some frowned. "Throw it away," one voice said. "Keep it for yourself," another whispered. Others warned, "Be careful. Human things are dangerous." The girl did not answer them. She opened the wallet just enough to peek inside. She saw pictures of human faces smiling. She saw strange paper money, symbols she could not read, and she saw a small glowing card blinking softly with light. Her heart beat fast. She did not understand what it was, but she knew it was important. She looked up at the human diplomat. He was still speaking, his voice steady, his hands moving as he tried to win trust. He had no idea what he had lost. The girl's chest felt tight. She knew she had a choice. She could keep the wallet, hide it, and maybe no one would ever know. Or she could try to return it. But to return it, she would have to walk through a sea of strangers, through guards, through eyes that would not trust her. For a long moment she stood still, the wallet clutched in her hands. The crowd pressed around her, voices rising, arguments echoing. Above them all, the diplomat's voice carried strong, but her heart told her that his future was now in her small hands. She looked at the sky, at the twin suns burning above the towers. She whispered to herself, "If I do this, everything will change." And she was right, because from this one small moment, from one lost wallet and one alien girl's choice, the future of 2 worlds would turn. The story of peace, of danger, and of betrayal was about to begin, but the crowd did not know. The diplomat did not know. Even the girl herself could not imagine what was coming. She only knew one thing: the wallet must be returned. And as she stepped forward into the crowd, holding the object that could change everything, a shadow moved in the plaza. Someone else had seen her, someone who did not want peace. Someone who would do anything to stop her from reaching the diplomat. The girl's journey had begun. The alien girl held the wallet close to her chest as if it was a piece of fire. Her heart pounded so hard that she thought everyone in the plaza could hear it. The voices around her grew louder. Some eyes followed her with suspicion, others with curiosity. She was not important in her world. She was not from a rich family, not from the line of warriors or leaders. She was simply a child from the narrow streets of the lower city. Yet in that moment, with the human wallet in her hands, she felt as if the weight of 2 worlds pressed on her small shoulders. She studied the human diplomat from a distance. He stood tall on the raised platform, speaking to the leaders of her people. He seemed so sure, so powerful, and yet he did not know his most precious thing was missing. She wondered what he would say if he knew that a poor alien girl had found it. Would he thank her? Or would he look at her with the same fear and distrust that many humans showed to her kind? Around her, the crowd's mood shifted like a restless sea. One alien male sneered at her, his eyes sharp. "Keep it," he hissed. "Humans are liars. Why give back what is theirs?" Another older female leaned closer and whispered, "Return it quickly, child. Do not let others see. Trouble will come." The girl's throat felt dry. She looked again at the pictures inside the wallet, the smiling faces of a human family. She thought of her own family, poor and struggling, hidden far away in the lower districts. She could not read the names or the words, but she could feel the meaning. These humans loved the diplomat just as she loved her own. Her small hand closed the wallet firmly. She decided in her heart she would return it. Not for humans, not for leaders, but because it was the right thing to do. Still, deciding was easy. Acting was hard. The plaza was filled with guards, tall aliens in silver armor holding staffs that glowed with energy. They were trained to watch every move, every shadow. She knew if they saw her approach the human, they might stop her. Worse, there were others in the crowd who hated humans deeply. She had already felt their eyes on her. She had already heard their angry whispers. Taking a deep breath, she stepped forward, trying to move slowly, carefully through the packed bodies. Her thin frame allowed her to slip between taller figures, but every step felt heavy. The diplomat's voice echoed above, but her world shrank to the rhythm of her feet and the pounding of her heart. Halfway through the crowd, she felt a hand grip her arm. She froze. A tall alien with scarred skin leaned down, his voice low and dangerous. "What do you carry, girl?" His yellow eyes glared at her. She shook her head quickly, hiding the wallet under her robe. "Nothing," she whispered. He tightened his hold, suspicion burning in his gaze. "I saw you bend down. Was it human property?" Others nearby turned to look. The air around her grew hot with their attention. She pulled her arm free and slipped into the press of bodies before the man could grab her again. Her breath came fast, her chest tight, but she did not stop. She could not stop. The diplomat was still far away, and already danger was rising like a wave behind her. She ducked under a vendor's stand, slipped between two armored guards who were too focused on the speech to notice her, and finally reached the edge of the inner circle, closer to the platform. Here the space was clearer but more dangerous. Fewer bodies to hide behind, more eyes to see her. The wallet felt heavier now, as if it knew the risk she carried. She clutched it with both hands, staring up at the tall steps that led to the human diplomat. For a moment, fear almost broke her courage. She was only a child. Why should she carry this burden? Why should she risk her life for someone who might not even look at her twice? But then she remembered the pictures again. The smiling human family. She thought of her little brother back home, sick and weak, needing medicine her parents could not afford. She thought of how she would want a stranger to help him if he were lost. Her decision became stronger. She would not give up. As she took her first step toward the platform, a shadow moved at the edge of her vision. She turned her head quickly and saw him, the scarred alien who had grabbed her arm before. He had followed her, pushing through the crowd with anger in his eyes. His voice carried above the noise. "She has something of the humans. Stop her." The guards' heads turned. The crowd began to shift, attention snapping toward the small girl clutching something close to her chest. She froze in place, her eyes wide. For a moment, everything seemed to stop. The diplomat's voice, the crowd's noise, even the twin suns in the sky. All eyes were on her, and in that heartbeat of silence, the girl understood. Her choice had already changed her life. She could run. She could hide. Or she could step forward into the storm. She tightened her grip on the wallet, lifted her chin, and took another step toward the human. The girl's legs trembled as she moved forward, but she did not stop. The crowd around her had changed. Where before there was noise and chatter, now there was sharp attention. Eyes followed her. Whispers grew louder, and the scarred alien pushed closer, his voice rising with anger. "She hides something. Look at her hands." His words cut through the air like a blade, and suddenly the guards were alert. The girl hugged the wallet under her robe, her heart racing faster than her feet. She wanted to disappear, to sink into the stone floor and vanish, but she also knew she could not. If she turned back, suspicion would grow. If she ran, they would catch her. Her only path was forward, toward the human diplomat, toward the unknown. The first guard blocked her way, a tall figure with silver armor that reflected the twin suns. His voice was cold. "What do you carry, child?" His staff glowed faintly, humming with energy. The girl's mouth opened, but no words came. Fear stole her voice. For a moment it seemed all was lost. Then the crowd behind her surged, voices shouting, bodies pressing. Someone yelled, "It's nothing!" "Let the child pass." Another snapped back, "She works for the humans." The noise grew, and in the confusion the girl slipped to the side, ducking low and sliding between the guard's legs. Gasps followed her as she crawled across the smooth floor, then stood and ran again. The scarred alien roared in fury, chasing her. His large frame pushed others aside like waves crashing against rocks. The girl ran faster, weaving between cloaked figures and armored soldiers, her small size her only advantage. The diplomat's voice still echoed above, but now it sounded distant, almost drowned by the chaos below. She reached a narrow passage between two towering statues. Here the crowd thinned, shadows stretched long, and the noise of the plaza faded slightly. She paused for breath, pressing her back to the cold stone, clutching the wallet so tight her fingers ached. For a moment, hope flickered. She was closer now. Just a few more steps and she could reach the human, but hope was short. The scarred alien appeared at the other end of the passage, his eyes burning with rage. "You cannot run, little thief," he growled. His heavy steps echoed like thunder as he advanced. The girl's chest heaved. She looked left and right. On one side, a group of merchants stared at her with wide eyes. On the other, a flight of stairs led upward, closer to the platform where the diplomat stood. She chose the stairs. Her bare feet slapped against the stone steps as she climbed, each one heavier than the last. Behind her, the scarred alien climbed too, his breath harsh, his hand reaching for her. She forced her legs to move faster, every muscle burning, her lungs screaming for air. She could hear the crowd below, voices rising as more guards moved in, searching. At the top of the stairs, she slipped through an archway into a corridor. The walls were lined with banners, the air cooler here, the sound of the crowd muffled. For a moment, she almost felt safe. But then she heard the footsteps again, closer, faster. The scarred alien had not given up. She darted into a side hall, her small body pressed close to the wall. Her breathing was loud in her ears, her heart louder still. She looked down at the wallet, at the strange human faces inside, and whispered, "I must not fail." Suddenly, two alien boys her age appeared at the end of the hall. They saw her clutching the wallet and laughed cruelly. "What is that?" "Did you steal from the humans?" one said, blocking her way. The other added, "Give it to us. We'll keep it safe." Their words dripped with mockery. Fear shook her, but she shook her head and tightened her grip. "No," she whispered, and when they stepped closer, she dashed past them, her small body moving like a shadow. Their shouts followed, but she did not stop. The corridor opened to another stairway leading up toward the main platform. She could hear the human diplomat's voice clearly now. She was close, so close she could almost see him. But then the scarred alien appeared again at the bottom of the stairs, his face twisted with fury. He pointed at her, shouting to the guards, "She has it! Stop her!" The guards turned, their staffs glowing brighter. The crowd gasped, all eyes once again fixed on the small alien girl. She stood frozen at the stairs, the wallet pressed against her chest. The weight of the galaxy seemed to fall upon her tiny form. She could surrender. She could let them take the wallet, and maybe they would let her live. But deep in her heart, she knew surrender meant the humans would be blamed. The talks would fail and peace would die. Her eyes filled with tears, but her voice was steady. "I will not stop," she whispered, and with that, she took another step upward, toward the platform, toward the human diplomat, and toward a destiny far greater than her small hands were ever meant to hold. Behind her, the scarred alien's roar shook the hall. Ahead of her, guards raised their staffs. Between danger and hope, the girl walked her dangerous path. The air around the platform felt heavy with tension. The alien girl's small frame stood out against the tall stone stairs, her robe clinging to her as she held the human wallet close. Below her, the scarred alien shouted for the guards to seize her. Around her, the crowd rumbled like a storm, some shouting for her capture, others too shocked to move. The glowing staffs of the guards hummed with power, ready to strike, and then everything happened at once. A loud call from one of the alien leaders distracted the guards for a heartbeat. The girl saw her chance. With all the strength in her legs, She rushed up the last steps and slipped behind a tall banner that hung near the edge of the platform. The scarred alien cursed, pushing through the crowd, but she was already gone from his sight. Behind the banner was a narrow passage, hidden from most eyes. She crept forward, the sound of her breathing louder than the shouts outside. The corridor was dark, lit only by thin beams of sunlight slipping through cracks in the stone. The diplomat's voice was clearer now, echoing through the walls. She followed the sound, clutching the wallet as if it were her life. Her feet carried her into a quieter hall, where the noise of the crowd faded into a distant roar. The room was lined with tall windows, their glass painted with symbols of peace and war. At the far end stood the human diplomat, alone for a brief moment, adjusting his notes before the next part of the speech. The girl's chest tightened. This was it. She had found him. Her legs trembled, but she forced herself forward. "Excuse me," she whispered, her voice soft and uncertain. The diplomat turned, startled. His eyes widened as he saw her, small, fragile alien. For a moment, confusion crossed his face. Then he noticed what she held. His wallet. His hand went to his pocket and realization struck him like lightning. He stepped forward quickly, lowering his voice. "Where did you get that?" The girl swallowed hard. You dropped it," she said in halting words. Her language was not perfect, but her meaning was clear. "I found it. In the crowd." The diplomat's eyes softened, but then narrowed again as he took the wallet carefully from her hands. He opened it, checking its contents. His breath caught when he saw the small device inside, the secret code key for the peace talks. Without it, he could not prove his authority. Without it, the meeting could collapse into chaos. For a moment, the diplomat's strong mask broke. Relief flooded his face. You don't understand what you have done," he said quietly. He looked at her again, really seeing her now. She was no thief, no spy, just a child who had chosen to do something right. But before he could thank her, heavy footsteps echoed down the hall. The scarred alien had found the passage. His voice thundered through the chamber. "There, she gave it to him." "Arrest them both." The girl gasped and stepped back, fear flooding her eyes. The diplomat's jaw tightened. He slid the wallet into his jacket quickly and turned to face the approaching guards. The scarred alien pointed at the girl, spitting his words like venom. "She is a thief. She tried to steal from you. She cannot be trusted." The guards raised their staffs, energy glowing brighter. The girl's knees shook. For the first time, she thought maybe she should not have tried. Maybe the crowd was right. Maybe helping the human was a mistake. But the diplomat's voice rang strong, firm, unshaken. "No," he said. "She did not steal. She saved it. She brought it back to me." His hand rested lightly on the girl's shoulder. "Without her, I would have lost something that could have destroyed our peace." The guards hesitated, their glowing staffs faltering. The scarred alien snarled, but the diplomat did not let go of the girl. His calm, steady voice filled the hall. "If you wish to accuse her, then accuse me as well. But know this, she is braver than many of us today." The girl's heart swelled at his words. For the first time, someone stood beside her, not against her. She felt a strange warmth, something she had never felt before. Hope. But hope was fragile. Outside the hall, the crowd still roared, divided and restless. Some wanted peace, others wanted war, and somewhere among them, the true enemy watched silently, waiting for the perfect moment to strike. The diplomat leaned close to the girl and whispered, "You must stay near me now. It's no longer safe." She nodded quickly, her hands still trembling. She did not know what was coming, but she knew her small choice had grown into something far bigger. The scarred alien's eyes burned with fury, his voice low and full of threat. "This is not over. You will regret this." And in that dark warning, the girl felt the shadow of danger stretch long across both their worlds. The hall was silent except for the steady echo of the diplomat's voice as he defended the alien girl. The guards stood uncertain, their staffs glowing faintly, their eyes shifting between the human and the scarred alien. The girl clung to the diplomat's side, her small frame shaking but her eyes wide with fear and determination. The scarred alien took one step forward, his scarred face twisted in anger. "You are blind," he spat at the diplomat. "That creature is no savior. She is a spy, planted among the crowd to fool you. Look at her. She hides behind you like a thief caught in the act." His voice carried, heavy and sharp, meant to poison the minds of everyone listening. The diplomat did not move. His hand pressed gently on the girl's shoulder, a silent promise that he would not abandon her. "You are wrong," he said calmly, though steel lay in his tone. "I know the truth. She had the chance to keep this wallet, but she returned it. She risked herself in front of your entire people to do what was right. Does that sound like a spy?" The scarred alien's eyes narrowed. His lips curled into a smile that held no warmth. Sometimes the bravest faces hide the darkest lies. The girl's chest tightened. She wanted to speak, to defend herself, but fear choked her words. She had never stood before so many powerful figures. She had never been accused of something so terrible. Her eyes fell to the floor, ashamed, even though she had done nothing wrong. Then from the corner of the room, another alien stepped forward. Unlike the scarred one, this figure wore elegant robes of deep blue, the mark of a noble family. His voice was smooth, almost kind, but his words cut deeper than any blade. "Perhaps the child is innocent," he said, "but we must ask, why was she the one to find such an important object? Could it be luck? Or could it be design?" A murmur swept through the guards and attendants. Suspicion spread like smoke through dry air. The girl's hands shook, clutching her robe. The diplomat's jaw tightened. He understood what was happening. This was not about a lost wallet. This was about breaking the fragile bridge of peace before it was even built. The scarred alien smirked, sensing the doubt taking root. "You see? Even our nobles agree. She is dangerous." He turned his sharp gaze to the girl. "Give her to us. We will question her properly. If she is innocent, she will survive. If not..." His words trailed off, but the meaning was clear. The girl's breath quickened. Images flashed in her mind, dark cells, harsh voices, pain. She took a step back, pressing closer to the diplomat. Her eyes pleaded silently, "Don't let them take me." The diplomat stood taller, his voice rising, stronger now. "No, she will not leave my side. If you take her, you take me. And if you take me, these talks are finished." The words hung heavy in the hall. The noble in blue frowned. The guards hesitated again, caught between orders and reason. The scarred alien's face burned with fury. For a long moment, the air felt frozen, the future of both worlds balanced on a knife's edge, and then, suddenly, the lights above flickered. The glass windows trembled. A deep hum filled the hall, strange and menacing. The crowd outside grew louder, shouts turning to screams. The diplomat and the girl turned toward the sound, their hearts pounding. From the shadows at the edge of the chamber, figures emerged. Cloaked aliens, their faces hidden, their movements swift. They carried strange devices that glowed red. The scarred alien stepped aside, his expression changing, not to fear but to satisfaction. The diplomat realized the truth in that instant. The scarred alien had not been defending his people. He had been preparing the stage. The wallet was only bait. The girl's courage had ruined their plan, but now they moved openly. These were the true enemies, those who wanted war, not peace. One of the cloaked figures pointed a red device at the diplomat. A beam of light shot across the room, striking the wall and burning a hole through stone. Gasps filled the air. The guards scrambled, staffs rising, but confusion reigned. Who was the enemy? Who was the ally? The girl clung to the diplomat's arm, her eyes wide with terror. "They will kill you," she whispered. The diplomat's hand tightened on her shoulder. "Not if we stand together," he said firmly. His eyes swept across the hall, seeing the panic spreading. He raised his voice loud enough to cut through the chaos. "Listen to me. This is the truth. These are the ones who plan to destroy peace, not this child." The cloaked attackers spread out, their weapons humming, their shadows falling long across the chamber. The scarred alien's smile widened, cruel and triumphant. "Too late," he said softly. The girl's heart raced. For a moment she wished she had never picked up the wallet. For a moment she wished she could run back to the safety of the crowd. But then she remembered her choice, the faces in the wallet and the diplomat's steady hand. No matter the danger, she knew she could not turn back now. The secret enemies had revealed themselves. The storm had begun. The chamber shook as another beam of red light struck the wall, spraying shards of stone across the floor. The alien girl covered her head, her body pressed close to the diplomat's side. The guards scrambled, some rushing to protect their leaders, others frozen in confusion. No one knew who to trust, and that was exactly what the hidden enemies wanted. The cloaked attackers moved like shadows, their weapons humming. Their faces were hidden, but their intent was clear. They wanted to strike fear, to turn peace into chaos. The scarred alien watched with satisfaction, his arms crossed as if he had been waiting for this moment. His voice cut through the noise. See how humans bring danger? See how they attract violence? But the diplomat stood tall, refusing to yield. His voice rang strong and clear. No, this attack is not the work of humans. It is the work of those who fear peace. Look closely. Who fires these weapons? Not my people, but your own, cloaked in shadows. The guards hesitated, torn between his words and their orders. The girl felt their doubt, like a tide pulling them in two directions. She looked up at the diplomat, his face firm, unshaken even as fire and dust filled the air. He believed in his words, and strangely she began to believe too. One of the attackers stepped forward, raising his weapon toward the diplomat. The girl gasped, and without thinking she moved. Her small hands found a loose piece of stone on the ground. She hurled it with all her strength. The rock struck the attacker's arm, knocking his aim aside. The red beam shot into the ceiling instead of the diplomat's chest. The hall froze for a heartbeat. The guards turned, eyes wide. The child had acted where many warriors had not. Her voice rang out, thin but sharp with courage. Look at them. They are not here for peace. They want war. They wanted me blamed so humans would be hated forever. Her words cut through the smoke, simple and honest. The noble in blue, who had doubted her before, now stared at the cloaked figures, his brow furrowed. He spoke loudly so all could hear. She is right. These weapons are not human. They are ours, hidden from the council, forbidden by law. A ripple spread through the guards. Whispers turned into shouts. Suspicion turned into recognition. Slowly, doubt shifted toward the truth. The scarred alien's eyes widened, fury burning in them. Lies, he roared. He stepped forward, pointing at the girl. She is clever, but she is still a deceiver. You cannot trust the words of a child. But the girl did not shrink back. Her hands trembled, her knees shook, yet her voice held steady. I have no reason to lie. I could have run. I could have hidden. But I came here. I brought back what was lost. Why would I do that if I wanted harm? The room fell silent. Her words were too simple, too true to be denied. Even the guards lowered their staffs slightly, their eyes narrowing at the cloaked attackers. The diplomat lifted the wallet high, so all could see. This child saved more than a wallet. She saved the code that proves my mission is real. Without her, you would have believed I came here with false words. That was their plan. They wanted her blamed, me discredited, and peace destroyed. The noble in blue nodded slowly. The truth is before us, he turned to the guards. Protect the diplomat. Protect the girl. The enemy stands revealed. The cloaked attackers hissed in anger, realizing their plot was unraveling. They fired again, beams tearing through the air, but now the guards responded. Energy staffs clashed against red light. Sparks flew. Shouts echoed. The chamber became a battlefield. The diplomat pulled the girl close, guiding her behind a stone pillar for cover. You were brave, he whispered. Braver than many leaders here today. Her chest still heaved with fear, but his words gave her strength. She peeked around the pillar and saw the scarred alien fighting, his blade drawn, his eyes burning with desperation. He was no longer hiding his role. He was part of them, part of the enemy. The girl's voice shook, but she said it anyway. They will fail. Everyone knows now. They cannot hide anymore. The diplomat looked down at her, his face both tired and proud. Yes, the truth is out. And you, child, are the reason. The battle raged on, but the tide had shifted. Guards now struck at the cloaked figures. Nobles called out commands, and the people outside began to chant. Not in anger, but in unity. The story of the little alien girl who returned what was lost spread like fire through the crowd. The scarred alien locked eyes with her one last time, rage twisting his face. He shouted above the clash of weapons. This is not the end. Peace will burn, and so will you. Then he vanished into the chaos, retreating with the attackers who still lived. The girl sagged against the pillar, her body weak with exhaustion, but her spirit strong. The danger was not over, but the lies had been broken. For the first time, she felt the weight of her choice turn into something brighter, something that might actually change the future. The hall was filled with smoke and the sharp scent of burned stone. Guards chased the last of the cloaked attackers out into the plaza, their glowing staffs clashing against red weapons. The noise of the crowd rose and fell like waves crashing against cliffs. Yet in the center of all that chaos stood the human diplomat and the alien girl, side by side, their small corner of the world strangely calm. The girl's chest still heaved, her thin body weak after everything she had faced. She looked down at her trembling hands, surprised they still belonged to her. She had carried danger, faced lies, and stood against fear, and somehow she was still alive. Somehow she had changed the course of events far greater than herself. The diplomat stood tall, though his suit was torn and his face smudged with dust. His voice, when he finally spoke, was low but steady. "Peace was almost broken today," he said, more to himself than anyone else. Then he looked down at the girl, his eyes warm. "But you reminded us that courage can come from the smallest hands." The noble in blue stepped forward from the smoke, his elegant robe scorched, but his posture proud. His voice carried for all to hear. "Let it be known," he declared, "that this child saved the truth. Without her, we would have fallen into lies and war." The crowd outside heard his words, carried by amplifiers through the plaza. A ripple spread, then a wave of voices, shouting, cheering, chanting. It was not a cry of division, but of unity. For the first time, humans and aliens cheered for the same reason. The scarred alien was gone, vanished into the shadows of retreat, but his warning still echoed in the girl's mind. This is not the end. She knew he would return, that enemies would still plot. Yet in this moment she felt something stronger than fear. She felt hope. The diplomat led her back onto the platform where the leaders of both sides had gathered again. Some were shaken, others still suspicious, but all were silent, waiting for what would come next. The diplomat raised the wallet high, showing it once more to the crowd. His voice carried, firm and clear. "This wallet, this small object, nearly destroyed everything we hoped for. But one child, one act of honesty saved us. Remember this moment. Remember that peace is not protected only by soldiers or leaders, but by the courage of anyone, no matter how small, no matter how different." The girl's heart pounded. She wanted to hide, but the crowd's eyes were not filled with anger now. They looked at her with awe, with respect. Some even bowed their heads. She had never felt this before. She had been invisible her whole life, but now she was a symbol. The leaders stepped forward. One alien elder, her voice cracked with age, spoke softly. "Perhaps peace was meant to begin not with us, the powerful, but with her, the powerless." She looked at the girl and nodded deeply. "You have done what many of us could not." The diplomat placed a hand on the girl's shoulder. "Her act will not be forgotten. Let her name be remembered as the first bridge between our worlds." The crowd roared again, voices rising into the sky. The girl closed her eyes for a moment, letting the sound wash over her. She thought of her family, her sick brother in the lower city. She thought of the narrow streets she had come from, the life of silence and shadows. All of it seemed so far away now. She had stepped into a storm and found her place in history, but deep down she was still only a child. She tugged lightly at the diplomat's sleeve and whispered, "I only wanted to do what was right." The diplomat smiled faintly. "And that is why you succeeded." Outside the hall, the banners of both species fluttered together in the rising wind. The sun shone brighter, as if the sky itself approved. The moment was fragile, yes, but it was also real. The girl had given them a chance. In the days that followed, her story spread across both worlds. Songs were sung about the alien child who saved a human's honor. Stories were told of the wallet that nearly ended peace, and the courage that restored it. Even children in distant villages whispered her name, dreaming of being as brave. The scarred alien's threat still lingered. Shadows still moved in secret places. War was not gone forever, but something stronger had been born that day. A memory, a lesson, a promise. The girl walked beside the diplomat one last time before he left for his world. She looked up at him, her eyes shining. "Will I ever see you again?" she asked quietly. He knelt so his eyes were level with hers. "Perhaps," he said. "But even if you do not remember this, you have already changed everything. You are proof that peace can live in even the smallest heart." Tears welled in her eyes, but they were not tears of fear. They were tears of pride. She nodded slowly. "Then I will not forget." And so it was written in the history of two worlds. Peace did not begin with a treaty, or with weapons laid down. It began with a lost wallet, a frightened child, and the courage to do what was right. From that day on, no one called her invisible. She was known as the girl who shook the galaxy.